Dragon Ball is known for many things, being the forefather of shonen anime, the first anime people watched, and much more. Dragon Ball also houses one of the most well-known signature moves of any hero and/or protagonist, and that is the Kamehameha wave. People across the globe know the iconic move, be it via its name or even when people get into the pose of the move. In the series itself, we have had it been used at least once in each saga, and not only by Goku but various other characters such as Gohan, Master Roshi, Krillin, Goten, and so on. It has also been the move to make many memorable scenes and arguably some of the most iconic sequences in anime. So that begs the question, which Kamehameha wave really is the most iconic? Well, we at 5-9 deliberated and actually could not come to a conclusion, so we posted a tweet a few weeks back about what people thought was the most iconic Kamehameha. And now, we bring to you the list of the most iconic Kamehameha and let you, the viewers, decide which one is the most iconic of the lot. Angry Kamehameha. Now hear me out, because this one is a little bit difficult to judge because we don't actually know if this one is a legit Kamehameha or not. It caused a bit of confusion in the community as well, on Twitter especially, and on top of that, a lot of Dragon Ball games in the 2000s classified it as one. I am of course talking about the iconic beam that Goku did at the end of the Planet Namek saga against Frieza, followed up by the iconic frown as well. In my eyes, I personally count it as a Kamehameha wave, but that's my perspective and it's kind of based on the fact that it was in various games, but it's obviously not fact. But the move itself is pretty iconic, even though it's not really a Kamehameha wave. Maybe. We also have Brad here also, saying what he thinks about the move, and he thinks it's really cool. And he loves it, especially the moment where he says the iconic words, "you fool." But obviously we still don't know if it is actually a Kamehameha wave or not. Veldora's Kamehameha, from that time I reincarnated as a slime. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even want to add this to the list, but I saw a lot of people actually on Twitter saying this and adding this to the list, as well as one of our own members, Archives. In his words, the Kamehameha from Tensai Shitara Slime Datakan is the most iconic one to date. The quality of the animation in this scene, with the way it shows off the beautiful blue of the Kamehameha and transitions the animation going from Super Saiyan into the Kamehameha, is flawless. Best known Kamehameha to man. The amount of power it shows in the scene exceeds the realm that Goku can reach. The way that Veldora shows off his power and puts fear into his enemies by using the move on Milim is an experience to watch. Unlike scenes like Master Roshi destroying Commander Blue's ships or Goku vs Kefla, the Kamehameha doesn't overexceed its welcome and has the perfect runtime on screen to do the purpose it set out for, making this the perfect Kamehameha compared to any of the ones from DB. You know what? Hey, he may not even be wrong in his eyes, and I can understand it completely. Feet Kamehameha. In Pomzo's own words, it's cause feet. And Goku only fans when? Before we get into the next set and move into some serious nominations / iconic Kamehameha waves, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and your support and love carries us forward, and we appreciate all of you guys viewing this video. If you could leave a like and if you could subscribe if you haven't already, it would be greatly appreciated. The first ever Kamehameha. We could not make this list without including the first ever Kamehameha we saw on screen by Master Roshi. Even if it may not be the most iconic of this set, we cannot argue the fact that this is where Dragon Ball hit a new level. Not only for us new viewers, but seeing the sheer difference in power between what we saw from Goku and company versus Master Roshi. Juki, one of our editors, even made a mention of this, saying how crazy and iconic it was. He said the following: "Honestly, the first Roshi Kamehameha will always stick out as incredible. For a scrawny man to just become an absolute hench and rip a castle to shreds with one blast was insane for original DB. Everybody is shocked and terrified at the immediate difference in power, as up to that point we'd only been shown Goku's natural fighting skill. Even Roshi himself is shocked at how powerful he made the blast, not realizing he broke the castle and the mountain before Ox King points it out. Pout the Power even pays homage to this against the Red Ribbon Army on the beach, which is another great scene. Just in general, a sick introduction to the move. Big Bang Kamehameha. Now this one was a surprise when our homie Ice Cold Joker included this in the list, because even I, as a Gogeta fan, wouldn't have necessarily put this on the list just based on the anime alone. But if I were to include the games and how iconic the Big Bang Kamehameha was for being so unbelievably strong and fun to use in various games such as Budokai 3 and Budokai Tenkaichi, it was phenomenal and a must add to this list. And if I'm not mistaken as well, one more point that I want to add, this was the first proper time we actually saw a combination of Goku and Vegeta's moves, as Super Gogeta only showed Soul Punisher and Vegeta showed Spirit Sword in the anime at least. Because I do know that Super Gogeta and Super Vegeta both had, Big Bang Kamehameha and Final Kamehameha games in some point in the history of Dragon Ball games. Here's what Ice Cold Joker has to say about Big Bang Kamehameha. Big Bang Kamehameha for me. Watching Omega just wipe the floor with SJ Force shows his power, so when Gogeta comes out and just smacks him around with zero effort and then just launches a Big Bang Kamehameha right in his face, which actually does damage, it shows the new power difference between Gogeta and Omega. Plus, it was cool seeing them combine two iconic attacks into one, and I cannot agree more. Ultimate Kamehameha, or Gogeta's Kamehameha from Dragon Ball Super Broly. This one doesn't really have a name, but we're giving it one for now, and I'm pretty sure Ultimate Kamehameha is from Dokkan Battle, the mobile gacha game, for those of you who don't know about it. The most recent Kamehameha seen on screen and one of the most hyped ones. Used by Gogeta yet again, facing the new version of Broly, it probably is the most well-animated one just based on the fact that it is well from a movie, as well as it being the most recent one. That being said, why does Gogeta just simply have the better Kamehamehas? Vegeta fans are mudded for real. Here's what NBA Anime had to say about the Gogeta Kamehameha. Gogeta's Kamehameha against Broly is one of the best recent ones I can think of, because rather than just defeating Broly, Gogeta went for the kill. Of course he didn't get hit, so he didn't die, but while watching it, that was very hype. And while I don't condone necessarily the murder of Broly on screen, I can understand his sentiment, and I do agree that, Gogeta really was going for it, honestly, with that Kamehameha, for sure. Instant Transmission Kamehameha. The Instant Transmission Kamehameha may not have been the most iconic Kamehameha of its arc, but that does not mean it isn't memorable or iconic in its own right. Goku using two of his most iconic techniques in tandem, especially against a threat that he was unable to beat, was unbelievably hyped. And for the 2 seconds people thought he beat Cell when his upper half of his body was just gone, it was probably the most amazing sequence. Some of you guys definitely liked it and it was shown in your tweets. Kid Goku's Kamehameha in Path to Power. This one was actually something that absolutely slipped my mind until I saw Zolchi and a couple of you guys mentioned it on Twitter. Goku's first Kamehameha was absolutely, or I should say, it wasn't his first Kamehameha, but it was his first Kamehameha that was absolutely enhanced by rage and emotion and a well done sequence. The animation was phenomenal, especially with the 360 panning over him, and seeing him pull it off, absolutely iconic. Here's what Zolchi had to say. I like it because it was Goku, pure emotion at losing a dear friend of his, and I think it was his first experience of losing someone besides Grandpa Gohan. Oh, and because Les B. Pick made an AMV about it. It was goated. Had me bobbing my head like this and insert cat jam gif basically, or gif I should say. Kefla versus Ui Kamehameha. Another recent Kamehameha, but one that has been imprinted on a lot of people's minds. The movement from Ui Goku along with the slide over Kefla's beam made it one to watch, and a really iconic version of Goku's Kamehameha. This one isn't really brought up by many of the 5'9 members, but I do know that Alec Hunter and Stray absolutely love this Kamehameha wave, and also some of you guys let us know on Twitter about this one, and I can concur that it is up there for sure. Family Kamehameha. How could I not include this one? Coming straight in from movie 10, this is the sequel to one of the most iconic Kamehamehas, and in all honesty, I can't say it let me down in any way. Watching this when I was about 7 or 8, it was absolutely phenomenal, and I really enjoyed every single moment of it too. From Gohan doing it alone, to Goten joining in, and then Goku joining in to make it an absolute gem of a sequence. Mass Ningen slides in to give his thoughts. One of my personal favorites is the Family Kamehameha from Broly's Second Coming. Even though people have had different interpretations of whether or not Goku is actually supposed to be there, the idea of Gohan and Goten giving everything they've got and drawing inspiration from their dad to push back the strongest enemy they've ever had to face is awesome. Plus, visually, the three of them doing it together like that is just great, and honestly, I cannot disagree. Kaioken Goku versus Vegeta, the first beam clash. This is it, the final two, and we had to bring in the big guns for this one. Kaioken Goku versus Vegeta. Not only just the beginning of an intense rivalry between two characters, but also home to what is one of the most iconic beam clashes in history. The Kaioken x4 Kamehameha is probably a lot of people's most iconic Kamehameha, based on the various tweets I've seen under our post, and in all honesty, I can actually see it. It was the first proper beam clash, and like I said earlier, it set the tone for an amazing rivalry between Goku and Vegeta. Simply brilliant. Honorable mentions. Here's a few Kamehamehas that didn't necessarily get suggested by anyone, but I wanted to add them. Final Kamehameha. Okay, maybe Vegeta fans are not so mudded after all. The final Kamehameha was actually not suggested by anyone, but I had to put it on the list. I thought somebody on Twitter would have actually given this as one of the most iconic Kamehameha waves, but I guess not. The final Kamehameha had a very short but very impressive appearance at the same time in the fight against Merge Zamasu, and arguably was incredibly hyped up. I think this move would have definitely been more iconic had the whole fight not been extremely short, or had it not been shown off in its entirety in the preview in the previous episode. 10 times Kamehameha. This one was surprising and not surprising at the same time. Goku's iconic move in the SJ form, in my opinion, looks absolutely sick, especially considering it's a massive color variation from the usual yellow and blue beam attacks. So being it red, or it being red I should say, was great to watch. That being said, I am not surprised due to the fact that it didn't have a particularly iconic moment in the show unlike the others, so I can see why people didn't necessarily suggest it. Now we move on to the one that actually got, I would say, voted the most, and it is also probably the most iconic Kamehameha of all time. Father-son Kamehameha. This is it. The one that has been mentioned by thousands of you guys. Like seriously, I think every post was the father-son Kamehameha, and even posts mentioning other Kamehamehas still mention this one as probably being the most iconic, even though they may have preferred the others, or they would have said this was second basically. That's how massive this one is. For me as well, I'd hands down give it to this one. Seeing Gohan's development, and at the time what we thought was the passing of the baton from Goku to Gohan as being Earth's greatest defender, it was phenomenal. The raw emotions, the scale of the beam clash, it was, again, downright phenomenal. We even had multiple people for this one, with both Tystra and Joe Wags giving their thoughts on this one. Tystra here said, honestly the one that will always stick out to me is the one-handed Kamehameha from Gohan vs Perfect Cell. The story behind what happened prior to that made it seem like Gohan was doomed. He lost his father and was about to lose everything. But Goku gave him encouragement, and you could tell it wasn't as a fighter, but as a father. One of the few moments I felt was super fatherly. And then of course the fact that Vegeta helped with the distraction as of sorts to really put an end to Cell. Originally it felt like the passing of the torch for Gohan to take over Dragon Ball. We know how that went down, but at the time it was a feel-good moment for sure. And I absolutely agree. I think the one thing people tend to do is they tend to diminish Gohan's achievements, especially in the Cell Saga, for what happened to him after that. And I feel like that's wrong in a way. I know some people would say, oh yeah, Gohan's overrated in the Cell Saga, but come on, we've seen this kid grow up effectively from the Saiyan Saga when he was like 3 to 4 years old, you know, going up against world threats to effectively, well, another world threat, and actually being the lead character to beat that world threat. In my opinion, I mean, first and foremost, he should never have been in that situation, but I feel like that was so important for the series as a whole. And you know, it also inspired the younger generation who was watching the show at the time as well. Absolutely iconic. Joe Wax says Gohan vs Cell with Goku talking to Gohan. Very emotional moment. It was like Goku passing the torch on to Gohan, and yeah, like I said earlier on, it really felt like it was, you know, Goku giving the torch to Gohan, and it was gonna be Gohan's show from there on out. We know how it ended, again, like I said, and like Tystra mentioned, we know how it ended, but that doesn't change the fact of what happened. You know, it was absolutely fantastic. But there we go. There's all the Kamehamehas that I think were really iconic, or the Kamehamehas that you guys thought were really, really iconic as well. Of course, if we have missed out any Kamehameha, I'm trying to think off the top of my head if we missed out any, but I'm pretty sure we haven't. But if we have, let us know in the comment section down below which one that would you say is the most iconic one, or if we missed one, let us know which one did we miss. Of course, if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and once again, appreciate all of y'all for watching this video. It's been Gale Riot, signing out. Bye bye guys.